everyone, this is Shel from Paper Rock TO Studio, and today I'm sharing with you my mixed media altered tag for the Facebook group Tag It Tuesday. In that group every month there is a challenge, and this month is to use letters and numbers to decorate your tag. So that's what I'm doing. I've got out a lot of different things that have letters and numbers, some stamps, washi tape, buttons, things like that to decorate my shipping tag, which will then make it an altered tag. So I started out by stamping this background stamp that is from Stampin' Up! From a long time ago that has just random letters on it. You can find words in there. It's kind of like one of those word search things. There's words in there, but they're just random, so you don't see them right away. But you could stamp it and then circle. It was kind of a fun thing back in the day. And then I embossed that with clear embossing powder with the idea of having a resist. So where the clear embossing powder is on the letters, it's only allowing the color of the manila shipping tag to show through, which is kind of an off-white vanilla color. I know, manila, vanilla. We've had this discussion before. So then I'm using some distress inks because I was thinking of Tim Holtz, and he uses a lot of shipping tags, and so I thought I would use distress ink, something I don't use very often. And I use my ink blending tool to apply scattered straw, forest moss, and gathered twigs in kind of an ombre effect. Just kind of feeling the earthy colors. These are not my usual colors, but yeah, just thought I would use them. Then I used a Tim Holtz stencil that looks kind of like letters that you would see stenciled onto a trunk or something like that. And I used some Deco Art modeling paste through it. And then wanted to make that stand out, so I have this India ink in a dark brown color. And I was dripping it down, and then also adding some of the Deco Art Fluid Media Line acrylic paint in green gold, which is an olive color, and dripping that as well, trying to make those raised letters on the left hand side stand out a little bit more. And once that was dry, I decided I needed a little bit more layers of color on the right hand side, and so I got out a different stamp that has just random letters on it, also from Stampin' Up. And I used some brown and olive colored inks to stamp that on. And then I decided to intensify the color of the distress inks by just applying them directly on there with the little tiny pads. These are the little 1-inch square pads. The only actual distress ink I have in the regular size is Vintage Photo, and all the rest of them I just have in little tiny ones, and I don't even have them all by any means. There's so many colors, but sometimes it's fun to just kind of grunge up things by applying an ink pad directly to something. So that's what I did with the 3 colors I had mentioned before. The raised letters weren't standing out very much, and so I decided to dry brush some thick gesso on there, really super dry brush, to try to get them to stand out a little bit more. Kind of worked, kind of didn't, you know. I've been missing for 5 days, and it's because I just haven't really cared to do any art. I'm not myself, and so I just haven't been in the studio, and so I'm making myself do some art. Not really loving this. So this is some peel back tissue tape from Canvas Corp Brands, 7 Gypsies, that just has a bunch of numbers on it, and I'm applying that to create a place for your eye to go, where I'm going to make my focal point. If you draw lines and crisscross them, the place that the eye is drawn to is where they crisscross. So that was my idea, was to create my focal area down there on the bottom left. And I also decided to back the tag with this dark brown cardstock I picked a button that has all the numbers 1 through, well, 0 through 9 all carved in it, because I think numbers are kind of cool in a graphic way. And that's what I decided to use, and then I decided it didn't stand out well enough. So I tore a piece of the brown paper that I plan to use for the backing. It's just a cardstock, a dark brown cardstock. And I'm trying different ways of putting the tape. I decided I didn't need that long piece of tape because it was covering up the letters, and I didn't like that. So then I'm trying to just put, I found a piece of sage green and I was putting it behind it. You know, that's what you do. You just play with stuff. You audition it. You try it out. You know, until you just get a look that you want. So I ended up with this olive green cardstock scrap, and then the dark brown. And then I thought that they needed to have some layers on them. So I got my archival inks and those block stamps out again and stamped some of those letter blocks on them. And also then I drug the edges of the cardstock across the pad to kind of darken up the edges of those two pieces as well. Kind of a tone on tone layer of archival ink. You can do this with regular ink. I just happen to have the archival. So I was still not happy with the way those dimensional letters looked. So I got the stencil back out, put it back over it, and then I'm using some Inca Gold to highlight those even more. And this is a metallic, it's like a mica metallic inside of beeswax, and so you can apply it with your finger and just kind of rub it over things. So I did that over the letters, and then also around the edges of the tag, and now I have kind of a metallic look going, which before that it had no shimmer or anything on it at all, which I hadn't intended to make shimmer, but then I wanted those letters to stand out more. So when in doubt, add shimmer. I mean, that's just, you know, it's just something that always works. I added a little bit of it onto those other two layers of cardstock as well. And then I started to glue them down using, you know, just regular Aleene's tacky glue. And then I decided, oh, I want to add some more dimensions. So I got out my metallic, really, really thin metallic gold cord and wrapped it around the tag in the same area as the tape was a little bit, just to add, you know, something. Zhuzh it up some, I don't know. And then I put my little layers back over that again. I just taped the cord to the back because I knew that I was going to be adding a backing to it, so anything that I did on the back would be covered. Now the little letters on this button don't show up very well, so I decided to try and stain the button. It's a wooden button and they're engraved into it. So I thought if I put the India ink down in there and then I wipe off the top layer, it should make the letter, did I say letters? I think they're numbers. Make the numbers stand out more. And once I did that, I still thought I needed to put something else on there, so I got the Inca Gold back out and just brushed over that top layer of the wood with the shimmery Inca Gold as well. It didn't do exactly what I expected. It was all just kind of an experiment. So then I got out this paper flower to put around as another layer, but it was so white that I went and got some nougat colored Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist and sprayed it to make it, because everything else is a manila or a vanilla color, I wanted it to be that color as well. So once I was happy with that, glued it all together and kind of made my little numbers button into a flower, the center of a flower. Pretty happy with that. Decided to add some splatters to just scrunch it up a little bit more. So I'm using just a tiny round brush and the same India ink that I had used as for the drips to do some splatters. And that worked out fine. And then I trimmed down my brown piece of cardstock to fit, And then because I had torn those other two layers, I wanted to have a torn edge. So I tore one edge, one long edge of the backing piece to make it kind of coordinate with my other two little torn edges, torn layers with torn edges. Am I making any sense? I'm really not myself. Okay, so once that was glued on with my tacky glue, then I went ahead and repunched my hole and I added some ribbons, an olive green organza and a dark brown grosgrain ribbon through the hole, and then I tied those off with the gold cord. And that's pretty much it. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Comment so I know you were here. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on your notifications. Share, all that stuff. And that is it for me. And remember that the link below will take you to the place where you can ask to join the Tagged Tuesday group. Thanks. Bye-bye.